Have you ever walked into a room and felt the air shift, as if your presence alone changed the energy? Maybe some people leaned in, drawn to your quiet confidence, while others seemed to shrink back, unsure how to handle your intensity. That's the mark of a strong personality, a force that can inspire or intimidate without you saying a word. Welcome to ZENLIGHT, where we dive deep into the art of living with purpose, rooted in the timeless wisdom of Stoicism and the practical tools of self-improvement. Today, we're uncovering 12 unmistakable signs that you have a powerful, even intimidating personality, and more importantly, how to harness it to live a life of clarity, courage, and connection. Stick with us until the end, because we're not just exploring ideas, we're giving you actionable steps to apply these insights to your life right now, whether you're navigating a tough workplace, building stronger relationships, or simply striving to be the best version of yourself. Let's dive in and discover what makes you stand out, and how you can use that strength to light up the world around you. Picture this. You're sitting in a meeting at work, the kind where everyone's nodding along to a plan that's clearly flawed. The room hums with unspoken agreement, not because the idea is brilliant, but because no one wants to rock the boat. Then you speak up. Not loudly, not aggressively, but with a question that cuts through the haze like a beam of light. Can we pause for a second? Why are we choosing this path when the data suggests it won't work? The room goes quiet. Some colleagues nod in appreciation, others shift uncomfortably in their seats. You didn't mean to unsettle anyone, but your commitment to reason over conformity just changed the conversation. This is the first sign of a strong personality. You seek truth over comfort, clarity over consensus. You're not here to follow the crowd. You're here to find what's real, even when it's inconvenient. This kind of clarity isn't just rare, it's powerful. It's the kind of strength that Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher, spoke of when he said, "The object of life is not to be on the side of the majority, but to escape finding oneself in the ranks of the insane." In a world obsessed with fitting in, your refusal to blindly agree sets you apart. It's not about being contrarian or picking fights. It's about holding fast to reason, even when the pressure to conform feels overwhelming. Think about the last time you were in a group where everyone agreed just to keep the peace. Maybe it was a family dinner where no one challenged an outdated tradition, or a friend group planning a trip that no one really wanted. Most people stay silent to avoid conflict, but not you. You ask the tough questions, not to prove you're right, but to get closer to the truth. That's a gift, but it's also a challenge. Your clarity can make others uneasy, because it forces them to confront their own assumptions. Some will admire your courage, others might mistake it for arrogance. That's okay. It's not your job to make everyone comfortable. Your job is to live with integrity. But let's be real. Wielding reason like this isn't always easy. It can feel lonely to be the one who speaks up when everyone else is coasting along. I remember a time when I was in a team project and the group was set on a marketing strategy that I knew was doomed to fail. I'd crunched the numbers, seen the trends, and the plan just didn't add up. So I spoke up, calmly but firmly, and suggested a different approach. The room froze. One colleague rolled their eyes, another muttered something about overthinking it. But later, when the project succeeded because we pivoted, those same colleagues thanked me. That moment taught me something profound. Reason isn't just about being right. It's about leading others to better outcomes, even when they don't see it at first. Stoicism teaches us that the pursuit of truth is a lifelong discipline. It's not about winning arguments or proving others wrong. It's about aligning your actions with what's rational and just. Epictetus, another Stoic giant, reminds us, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. That's the mindset of someone with a strong personality. You're not swayed by the need to be liked or the fear of looking out of place. You're grounded in something deeper, a commitment to what makes sense no matter who's watching. But here's where wisdom comes in. Reason doesn't mean rigidity. It doesn't mean dismissing others' feelings or steamrolling their perspectives. The truly strong mind balances truth with empathy. Instead of saying, "You're wrong," try, "I see where you're coming from, but what if we looked at it this way?" That small shift invites connection rather than confrontation. It turns your clarity into a bridge, not a wall. So how do you apply this in your life today? Start small. The next time you're in a situation where everyone's going along with something that doesn't sit right with you, pause and ask yourself, what's the truth here? What's the rational choice? Then speak up, not to dominate, but to illuminate. Maybe it's at work, where you challenge a process that's wasting time. Maybe it's with friends, where you gently push back on a plan that feels off. The goal isn't to win, it's to live in alignment with your principles. Here's a practical step. This week, write down one moment where you chose reason over conformity. Reflect on how it felt, who responded, and what you learned. That simple act of reflection will sharpen your ability to stand firm without alienating others. Because when you lead with reason, you're not just standing out, you're showing others what's possible. You're a beacon for those who are ready to seek the truth alongside you. Let's move on to the next sign of a strong personality, one that builds on this foundation of reason and takes it to a deeper level. Your independence from the need for external validation. Now that we've explored the power of prioritizing reason over conformity, let's dive into a trait that flows naturally from it, your independence from the need for external validation. Imagine this scene. You're at a lively dinner party, laughter bouncing off the walls, everyone sharing stories to impress or fit in. Someone suggests a group outing you're not thrilled about. Maybe it's a late-night bar hop when you'd rather spend your evening reading or working on a personal project. Instead of going along to avoid seeming difficult, you politely decline, not with an apology or an excuse, but with a quiet confidence. Thanks for the invite, but I'm going to pass tonight. I've got something else I'm focused on. The table pauses for a split second. Some nod in respect. Others exchange glances, unsure how to read your choice. That moment, when you stand firm in your decision without needing anyone's approval, is the hallmark of a strong personality. You don't live for the applause of others. You live for what aligns with your values, your goals, your truth. This kind of self-assurance is rare in a world where so many of us are conditioned to seek validation. Think about it. How often do people say yes to things they don't want, just to avoid disappointing someone? How many times have you seen friends post on social media not because they're proud of their work, but because they're chasing likes, comments, or a fleeting sense of worth? It's human nature to want to be seen, to be liked. But you've learned something most people spend a lifetime figuring out. The only approval that matters is your own. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, put it perfectly when he said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." That's not just a catchy quote, it's a radical way to live. It means trusting your own judgment, even when it sets you apart. It means choosing a quiet evening of self-reflection over a crowded party, not because you're antisocial, but because you know your time is sacred. It means pursuing a career or a passion that others might not understand, because it feels right to you. Let me share a story that brought this home for me. A few years ago, I was invited to a networking event packed with industry big shots. Everyone told me it was a can't-miss opportunity. Shake hands, swap business cards, get in, the room with the right people. But the truth? I was exhausted, and I'd been neglecting a writing project that meant the world to me. I wrestled with the decision, go and play the game, or stay home and honor my own priorities. In the end, I stayed home, poured my heart into my work, and finished a piece that later opened doors I couldn't have imagined. When I told a colleague I'd skipped the event, they looked at me like I'd lost my mind. "You're crazy," they said. "That was your shot." But here's the thing, I didn't feel crazy. I felt free from the pressure to perform. For others, free to trust my own path. That choice wasn't just about one night. It was a declaration of who I am. And I bet you've had moments like that too, where you chose yourself over the crowd's expectations. This independence can be magnetic, but it's also intimidating. When you don't need validation, you unsettle people who rely on it. Your quiet confidence can make others question their own choices, their own need for approval. A friend might hesitate to share their usual gossip because they sense you're not interested in superficial chatter. A coworker might shy away from asking you to join their clique because they know you're not here to play politics. That's not your fault. It's a reflection of their own insecurities. Marcus Aurelius nailed it when he said, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." You've broken free from that trap. You've learned that seeking everyone's approval is a losing game because opinions are fickle, fleeting, and often more about the other person than about you. But here's where Stoic wisdom comes in with a gentle nudge. Independence doesn't mean isolation. You don't need validation, but you still value connection, not out of necessity, but out of choice. Seneca, another Stoic heavyweight, reminds us that life is short and genuine relationships are one of its greatest gifts. The key is to build those relationships without compromising your core. You don't change who you are to fit in, but you listen, you respect, you show up authentically. Think about someone in your life who matters to you. A friend, a partner, a family member. How do you show them you care without bending to their expectations? Maybe it's being fully present when they talk or offering honest advice instead of flattery. That's the balance, staying true to yourself while making space for others. So how do you apply this in your life right now? Here's a practical step. Take one decision this week that's just for you. It could be as small as saying no to an event that doesn't excite you, or as big as pursuing a goal others don't understand. Write down why you made that choice, not to justify it to anyone else, but to remind yourself what matters to you. Then notice how it feels. Do you feel lighter, stronger? That's the power of living for your own approval. If you're in a workplace where everyone's chasing the boss's praise, try focusing on the quality of your work instead. If you're on social media, post something that feels true to you, not something designed to rack up likes. These small acts of independence build a life of quiet strength, a life where you're not swayed by the crowd, but grounded in your own truth. This strength sets the stage for our next sign, a commitment to an unshakable moral code that guides your every move, even when the world tempts you to compromise. Imagine you're at a crossroads in your career. Your boss offers you a shortcut to a promotion. Nothing illegal, but it involves bending the truth, maybe fudging a report to make the numbers look better. Everyone else seems fine with it. They call it playing the game, but you feel a knot in your stomach. You know it's not right, not because it's against the rules, but because it's against you. So you say no, not with a lecture or a sermon, but with a calm, "I can't do that. It doesn't sit right with me." Your boss raises an eyebrow, maybe even pushes back, but you hold your ground. That moment, when you choose integrity over convenience, is the third sign of a strong personality. You live by a moral code that's non-negotiable, a compass that guides you through life's gray areas. It's not about being perfect, it's about being true. This kind of conviction is rare in a world that often rewards flexibility over principle. We've all seen it. The colleague who cuts corners to get ahead, the friend who justifies a white lie to avoid conflict, the leader who bends their values to stay popular. Society often celebrates those who play fast and loose as pragmatic or savvy. But you're different. You understand that integrity isn't a performance, it's a promise you make to yourself. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, said it best. What is right is not always popular, and what is popular is not always right. Your moral code isn't swayed by trends or pressure. It's built on something deeper, a commitment to virtue, to doing what's right even when it's hard, even when it costs you something. Let me tell you about someone I know. Let's call her Sarah. She was a manager at a company where cutting corners was the unspoken norm. When a client project went south, her team was pressured to pin the blame on a junior employee who wasn't at fault. Everyone else was ready to go along. It was easier, safer, less messy. But Sarah refused. She met with her boss, laid out the facts, and took responsibility for the team's mistake, even though it meant risking her own reputation. The fallout wasn't easy. She faced pushback, whispers, even a temporary demotion. But months later, when a bigger client chose to work with her company because of her reputation for honesty, Sarah's choice paid off in ways no one could have predicted. Her integrity didn't just save her, it inspired her team, her clients, and even her skeptical boss to rethink their own choices. That's the power of an unshakable moral code. It's a mirror that reflects what others lack. When you refuse to compromise, you force those around you to confront their own shortcuts, their own small betrayals of conscience. It's not that you're judging them. Your strength lies in your actions, not your words. But that quiet consistency can be intimidating. People who bend the rules might see your resolve as a challenge, even a threat. They might call you stubborn or self-righteous, but deep down, they respect you. Because in a world of quick fixes and easy outs, you're a reminder of what's possible when you stand firm. Stoicism teaches us that true character is forged in the moments when doing the right thing is hardest. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no time arguing about what a good man should be one." That's your approach. You don't preach, you practice. You don't debate ethics in the abstract. You live them in the choices you make every day. But living this way comes with a challenge. How do you uphold your principles without pushing others away? The answer lies in quiet strength. You don't need to lecture or correct others. Your actions speak louder than words. When you say no to a shortcut, you're not just protecting your integrity. You're showing others that there's another way. And when you do it with humility, not arrogance, you invite people to rise to your level rather than feel judged. So how can you apply this in your life today? Start by identifying one value that's non-negotiable for you. Maybe it's honesty, fairness, or loyalty. Write it down and ask yourself, how did I honor this value today? Maybe it's speaking up when a coworker is unfairly blamed, or admitting a mistake instead of covering it up. If you're a parent, it might mean teaching your kids to own their actions, even when it's tough. If you're a student, it could be refusing to cheat on a test, even when everyone else is doing it. These choices aren't always glamorous. They might cost you a grade, a deal, or a moment of popularity. But they build something far more valuable, a life you can be proud of. Here's a practical step. This week, find one moment where you're tempted to compromise your values, even in a small way. Maybe it's exaggerating a story to impress someone or staying silent when you see something wrong. Pause, take a breath, and choose the harder path. Then reflect on how it feels. Did it make you stronger? Did it change how others see you? That's the power of an unshakable moral code. It's not just a rule book, it's a foundation for a life of purpose and peace. As we move forward, let's explore the next sign, your ability to find strength in solitude, a trait that sets you apart in a world addicted to constant connection. Let's paint a picture. It's Friday night, and your phone is buzzing with invites. Friends are heading out to a concert, colleagues are grabbing drinks, and your family's planning a big dinner. Everyone's expecting you to show up, to be the life of the party or the dependable one who never says no. But tonight, you feel a different pull. You want to stay in, maybe read a book that's been calling your name, journal about your goals, or just sit in the quiet and think. So you say no, not out of anger or isolation, but because you've learned something powerful. You don't need a crowd to feel whole. You find strength in solitude, and that's the fourth sign of a strong personality. In a world that equates busyness with worth and connection with success, your ability to be alone without being lonely is nothing short of revolutionary. Solitude isn't just a break from the noise, it's a space where you meet yourself. It's where you process your thoughts, recharge your energy, and reconnect with what matters most. Most people fear being alone because it forces them to face their own doubts, their own insecurities. But you've made peace with that silence. You've learned that the most reliable companion you'll ever have is yourself. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. And what's more beyond our control than the approval or presence of others? When you embrace solitude, you're not rejecting the world. You're choosing to be enough on your own." I remember a time when I learned this lesson the hard way. A few years back, I went through a rough patch, lost a job I loved, watched a close friendship fade, and felt like the ground was shifting beneath me. My instinct was to surround myself with people, to fill the void with noise and distraction. But one night I decided to stop running. I turned off my phone, sat down with a notebook, and just let myself be. I wrote about my fears, my hopes, what I wanted from life. It wasn't easy. Facing yourself never is, but it was liberating. That night, I realized that solitude wasn't something to fear. It was a source of strength. It was where I rebuilt my confidence, where I found clarity that no one else could give me. I bet you've had moments like that too. Times when being alone wasn't a punishment, but a gift. This strength can be intimidating to others. When you're comfortable in your own company, you don't cling to relationships out of need. You choose who gets your time, your energy, your heart. Not because you're cold, but because you value authenticity over obligation. That can make people uneasy. A friend might feel slighted when you skip their party, not because you don't care, but because they don't understand how you can be so at ease without them. A coworker might wonder why you don't join the office gossip, not realizing that you're guarding your peace. Your ability to stand alone makes others confront their own dependence on external validation, and that can feel like a spotlight on their insecurities. But Stoicism teaches us that solitude isn't about shutting people out. It's about building a foundation strong enough to connect on your own terms. Seneca reminds us that while life is short, it's enriched by meaningful relationships. The difference is that you don't need those relationships to define you. You bring your whole self to them, not a version shaped by fear or expectation. So how do you balance this? By being intentional. When you do choose to connect, show up fully, listen deeply, share honestly, give generously. Your solitude doesn't make you distant, it makes your presence more powerful. Here's how you can apply this today. Carve out 1 hour this week, just for you. No phone, no distractions, just you and your thoughts. Maybe take a walk in a park, journal about your dreams, or sit quietly with a cup of coffee. Ask yourself, what do I want right now? Not what others expect, but what I need. Write it down and let that clarity guide your next step. If you're a busy parent, this might mean waking up 30 minutes early to sit in silence before the chaos starts. If you're a student, it could be turning off notifications for an evening to focus on a passion project. That time alone isn't selfish, it's sacred. It's where you recharge, where you remind yourself that you are enough. As you embrace this strength, you'll notice something beautiful. Your solitude doesn't just empower you, it inspires others. When you show up grounded, centered, and whole, you give those around you permission to do the same. That's the power of a strong personality. It doesn't just change you, it changes the world. Let's keep going and explore the next sign. Your ability to have difficult conversations with courage and grace. Think back to a moment when you saw something wrong. A coworker slacking off, a friend crossing a boundary, or a family member avoiding responsibility. The air felt heavy, didn't it? Most people would rather let it slide than risk the awkwardness of speaking up. But not you. You have the courage to face those tough moments head on, not with anger or blame, but with clarity and purpose. That's the fifth sign of a strong personality. You can have difficult conversations without flinching. You don't shy away from the truth, because you know that avoiding it only creates more problems down the road. Whether it's calling out a mistake at work or setting boundaries in a relationship, your willingness to speak up sets you apart as someone who values honesty over harmony. Let's set the scene. You're in a team meeting, and a project is falling apart because one person keeps missing deadlines. Everyone else dances around the issue, making excuses or changing the subject. But you see the cost. Delays, frustration, a team losing trust in each other. So you speak up, not to shame, but to solve. Hey, I've noticed we're struggling to stay on track, you say. Can we talk about what's holding us back and how we can support each other? Your voice is calm, your words constructive, but the impact is undeniable. The room shifts. The person responsible might squirm, but they also know you're not attacking them. You're addressing the problem. And just like that, you've turned a tense moment into an opportunity for growth. That's what sets you apart. You don't avoid discomfort. You lean into it with wisdom and grace. Marcus Aurelius said, "If anyone can refute me, Show me I'm making a mistake or looking at things from the wrong perspective. I'll gladly change. It's the truth I'm after. That's the heart of a difficult conversation. It's not about being right. It's about getting to what's real. Most people shy away from these moments because they fear conflict or rejection. But you understand that avoiding the truth doesn't make it go away, it festers. Whether it's telling a friend they've hurt you or confronting a boss about an unfair decision, you know that speaking up isn't just about fixing the moment. It's about building trust, respect, and progress. And that takes courage. Courage to risk being misunderstood. Courage to face pushback. Courage to stand by what you believe. I'll never forget a conversation I had with a close friend a few years ago. She'd been pulling away, canceling plans, and brushing off my attempts to connect. It would have been easier to let it go, to assume she was just busy. But deep down, I knew something was off. So I invited her for coffee and laid it out. I've noticed you've been distant, and I'm wondering if something's wrong. Did I do something to upset you? My heart was pounding. I didn't want to lose her, but I couldn't ignore the truth. Turns out she was struggling with personal issues and felt too overwhelmed to talk about it. That conversation didn't just clear the air, it deepened our friendship. She thanked me for being honest, for not letting the distance grow. That's what difficult conversations do. They don't just solve problems, they build stronger connections. But here's the flip side. Your ability to confront the truth can intimidate others. People aren't used to someone who speaks so directly, who doesn't sugarcoat or sidestep. Some might feel judged, even when you're not judging them. Others might pull back, unsure how to match your honesty. That's not a flaw in you. It's a reflection of a world that's often more comfortable with silence than truth. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what's in our control, and you can't control how others react. What you can control is how you deliver your truth. The key is to speak with empathy, not just conviction. Instead of saying, "You're dropping the ball, try, "I've noticed this isn't working. How can we fix it together?" That small shift makes all the difference. It shows you're not here to dominate, but to collaborate. So how do you bring this into your life today? Think of one situation where you've been avoiding a tough conversation. Maybe it's a coworker who's not pulling their weight, a partner who's been distant, or even a conversation with yourself about a habit you need to change. This week, commit to addressing it. Start small. Write down what you want to say, focusing on clarity and kindness. Then have the conversation, not to win, but to grow. Reflect afterward. Did it feel uncomfortable? Did it lead to a better outcome? That discomfort is where your strength lies. It's proof you're not just living, you're leading. As we move forward, let's explore the next sign. How your presence alone can command a room, even when you're not trying to. Let's set the stage. You walk into a family reunion, the room buzzing with chatter and laughter, aunts and uncles swapping stories, kids running around. As you step through the door, something shifts. Conversations soften, eyes turn your way, and for a fleeting moment, you feel like you've interrupted something. You haven't said a word, haven't done anything out of the ordinary, but your presence alone commands attention. It's not because you're loud or flashy, it's because there's a quiet intensity about you, a confidence that fills the space without trying. This is the sixth sign of a strong personality. You stand out in group settings, not because you demand the spotlight, but because your energy speaks for itself. You're like a lighthouse in a storm, steady, unshakable, and impossible to ignore. This kind of presence isn't something you manufacture. It's the natural result of everything we've talked about so far. Your commitment to reason, your independence from validation, your unwavering moral code, your comfort in solitude. All of these traits combine to create a force that others can't help but notice. Picture yourself at a casual dinner with friends. The conversation is light, filled with jokes and small talk, until you join in. You share a thought, maybe about a book you're reading or a decision you've made, and the table quiets. People lean in, not because you're shouting, but because there's a weight to your words, a clarity in your gaze. Your confidence isn't loud or boastful, it's rooted in knowing who you are. But that same strength can make others hesitate. A friend might hold back their usual banter, unsure if they can match your depth. A colleague might avoid challenging your ideas, not out of fear, but because they sense you've thought things through in a way they haven't. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Your presence embodies that idea. You don't need to announce your strength. It shows in how you carry yourself. But let's be honest, this can feel like a double-edged sword. You want to connect, to laugh, to belong, but sometimes your intensity creates an invisible divide. I remember a moment like this at a work conference. I walked into a breakout session, just intending to listen and learn, but as I sat down, I noticed people glancing my way, their conversations shifting to whispers. Later, a colleague pulled me aside and said, "You have this way of making everyone feel like they need to step up their game." I was surprised. I wasn't trying to intimidate anyone, but I realized that my focus, my questions, even my silence, carried a weight I hadn't fully understood. That's the reality of a strong personality. It can inspire others to rise, but it can also make them feel like they're standing in your shadow. Stoicism teaches us that true strength isn't about being universally liked. It's about being true to your values, even when you're misunderstood. Your presence isn't something to apologize for. It's a testament to your character, but it's also a responsibility. How do you use that power to build bridges instead of walls? The answer lies in empathy and intention. When you notice others pulling back, take a moment to draw them in. Ask a question that invites their perspective. "What do you think about this?" Or, "I'd love to hear your take." Show them that your strength isn't a barrier, it's a foundation for connection. You don't need to dim your light to make others comfortable. You just need to shine it in a way that lifts them up. Here's how you can apply this in your life today. The next time you're in a group setting, whether it's a meeting, a party, or a family gathering, pay attention to how your presence affects the room. Do people quiet down? Do they look to you for direction? Instead of shrinking back, lean into it with warmth. Share a story, ask a question, or offer a genuine compliment. Make it clear that your confidence is an invitation, not a challenge. A practical step. Try this at your next social event. Pick one person who seems hesitant around you and make a point to connect with them. Maybe it's a coworker who's always quiet in your presence. Ask them about their weekend or their thoughts on a project. That small gesture can turn your intimidating aura into an inspiring one. Your presence is a gift, not a burden. It's a reminder that you don't need to shout to be heard. You just need to be yourself. As you carry this strength forward, it sets the stage for our next sign. The way your words carry a weight that makes people stop and listen. Imagine you're at a coffee shop with friends, the conversation bouncing from movies to weekend plans. It's light, easy, the kind of chatter that fills the air. Then you speak. Maybe it's a simple observation about a book you're reading or a thought about a decision you're facing. Suddenly, the table goes quiet. Not because you demanded attention, but because your words have a gravity that pulls people in. They listen, not out of politeness, but because they sense that what you say matters. This is the seventh sign of a strong personality. Your words carry weight. You don't waste them on gossip or fluff. You speak with intention, and that makes your voice impossible to ignore. This power comes from your clarity of thought and your commitment to authenticity. You've learned to think before you speak, to choose words that reflect your values and your truth. It's not about being the loudest or the most eloquent. It's about being deliberate. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, said, "Let your words be few and well considered." That's you in a nutshell. Whether you're giving feedback at work, sharing advice with a friend, or just telling a story, you don't clutter the air with empty chatter. You say what needs to be said, and you say it with purpose. I've seen this in action. A friend of mine, let's call him Jake, was at a team meeting where everyone was throwing out ideas, most of them half-baked. Jake stayed quiet, listening until he finally spoke up with a single sentence that cut through the noise. If we focus on this one metric, we can double our impact without extra cost. The room stopped. His boss nodded, the team pivoted, and the project succeeded. Jake didn't need to say much, just enough to change everything. But this strength can come with a catch. Your words, because they carry such weight, can make others feel like they need to measure up. A casual comment from you might feel like a profound statement to someone else, and that can create distance. Maybe a friend hesitates to share their silly stories because they worry they can't match your depth. Or a coworker avoids debating you, not because they disagree, but because they're intimidated by your precision. That's not your fault. It's a sign of your influence. But it's also a call to use your words wisely. Stoicism teaches us that true strength lies in uplifting others, not overpowering them. Your words aren't just a tool for expressing yourself. They're a way to inspire, to guide, to connect. So how do you harness this power in your daily life? Start by being mindful of your impact. The next time you're in a conversation, notice how people respond when you speak. Do they lean in? Do they hesitate? Use that awareness to create space for others. Instead of always offering answers, ask questions. What's your take on this? Or how would you approach it? That invites others to share without feeling overshadowed. Here's a practical step. This week, try starting one conversation with a question instead of a statement. Maybe at work, ask a colleague, "What's one thing we could do differently on this project?" Or with a friend, try, "What's been on your mind lately?" Then listen, really listen. Your words carry weight, but your ability to listen carries even more. Your voice is a gift, a tool to shape the world around you. Use it to build, to inspire, to create understanding. As we move forward, let's explore the next sign, your ability to make decisions with clarity and confidence, even when others hesitate. Picture this, you're out with friends, and the group is stuck in a loop, debating where to eat. One person wants pizza, another suggests sushi, and the indecision drags on until everyone's frustrated. Then you step in. "Let's go to that Italian place 2 blocks from here. It's got great reviews and we can walk there in 5 minutes." Your voice is calm, certain, and just like that, the group moves forward. No one questions it because they trust your judgment. This is the 8th sign of a strong personality. You're decisive and direct. While others waffle or second guess, you assess, choose, and act. You don't just make decisions, you own them, and that clarity sets you apart in a world full of hesitation. Being decisive doesn't mean you're impulsive or reckless. It means you trust your ability to weigh options and act, even when the stakes are high. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." You've internalized that wisdom. You don't waste energy overthinking or fearing failure. You make a call, move forward, and adapt if needed. Think about a time you faced a tough choice, maybe a career move, a relationship decision, or even something as simple as choosing a new hobby. While others might stall, paralyzed by what-ifs, you take a deep breath, trust your gut, and act. I remember a moment like this when I had to decide whether to leave a stable job for a riskier opportunity. Everyone around me was full of advice, stay safe, don't rock the boat. But I ran the numbers, reflected on my goals, and made the leap. It wasn't easy, but it was right. That decision taught me that decisiveness isn't about being fearless, it's about being clear. This trait makes you a natural leader, whether you're running a company or just organizing a family trip. People turn to you because you bring order to chaos. But let's be real, your decisiveness can intimidate those who struggle to make choices. A friend might feel overshadowed when you take charge of plans. A coworker might mistake your clarity for bluntness. That's where Stoic wisdom comes in. True strength isn't about control, it's about clarity with compassion. You don't need to soften your decisions, but you can invite others into the process. Instead of saying, "This is what we're doing," try, "Here's what I think. Any other ideas?" That small shift shows you value input without sacrificing your resolve. So how do you apply this in your life today? Pick one decision you've been putting off. Maybe it's signing up for a class, having a tough conversation, or even choosing a new morning routine. This week, commit to making that choice. Write down the pros and cons, give yourself a deadline, say 24 hours, and act. Then reflect. How did it feel to move forward? Did it free up mental space? That's the power of decisiveness. It's not just about getting things done. It's about reclaiming your time and energy. If you're a student, this might mean choosing your major instead of waffling. If you're a parent, it could be setting a clear boundary with your kids. Wherever you are, decisiveness is your superpower. As we continue, let's look at the next sign. How your confidence inspires others, even when you're not trying to lead. You've probably noticed it before. You walk into a room and without saying a word, people seem to sit up a little straighter. Maybe it's the way you carry yourself, shoulders back, eyes steady, or the way you speak with quiet assurance. You don't need to boast or dominate to make an impact. Your confidence does that for you. This is the 9th sign of a strong personality. Your confidence inspires others, even when you're not trying to lead. You're not chasing followers or applause. You're simply living in alignment with who you are, and that authenticity has a ripple effect. People see you and think, if they can be that sure of themselves, maybe I can too. This kind of confidence isn't loud or showy. It's not about posting your every achievement online or fishing for compliments. It's the quiet certainty that comes from knowing your worth, your values, your path. Think about a time when you made a choice that others doubted. Maybe you took a job everyone thought was beneath you, or you stuck to a principle when it would have been easier to bend. I'll never forget a colleague of mine, Maria, who turned down a high-paying corporate job to start her own small business. Everyone told her she was crazy. Why give up security for a risky dream? But Maria knew what she wanted: freedom, creativity, impact. 2 years later, her business was thriving, and the same people who doubted her were asking for advice. Her confidence didn't just carry her through, it inspired others to chase their own dreams. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's the root of your confidence. You focus on what you can control, your thoughts, your actions, your values, and let the rest go. This mindset doesn't just make you resilient, it makes you a beacon for others. A friend might see you pursuing a passion and decide to finally take that art class they've been putting off. A coworker might watch you handle criticism with grace and start speaking up in meetings. Your confidence isn't about outshining others, it's about showing them what's possible when you trust yourself. But here's the flip side. Your confidence can be daunting. People who are still finding their way might feel small in your presence, not because you're trying to overshadow them, but because your clarity highlights their doubts. That's not your burden to carry, but it's an opportunity to lead with kindness. Stoicism teaches us that true strength uplifts others. You don't need to dim your confidence, you just need to share it. Compliment someone's effort, encourage their ideas, or simply listen when they share their struggles. Your confidence becomes contagious when you use it to empower, not intimidate. Here's how to apply this today. Think of one person in your life who could use a boost. A friend who's doubting themselves, a colleague who's hesitant to speak up. This week, find a way to inspire them. Maybe it's a simple, "I believe in you, you've got this," or sharing a story of how you overcame a similar doubt. A practical step. Write down one moment this week where your confidence made a difference, whether it was speaking up in a meeting or sticking to a tough decision. Then ask yourself, how can I use this to lift someone else up? That's the mark of true strength, not just shining, but helping others find their light. Let's keep going and explore the next sign. Your ability to stay calm under pressure, a trait that makes you a rock in any storm. Imagine you're in the middle of a crisis. A work deadline is looming. Your team is panicking, and everything seems to be falling apart. While others are losing their cool, you take a deep breath, assess the situation, and start breaking it down. "Okay, let's focus on what we can do right now," you say, your voice steady, your mind clear. Suddenly, the chaos feels manageable, and your team rallies behind you. This is the 10th sign of a strong personality. You stay calm under pressure. You don't crumble when things get tough. You rise, and your composure becomes a lifeline for those around you. This ability comes from a deep well of self-control, something the Stoics prized above all else. Epictetus said, "You have power over your mind. not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. You've learned that life will throw curveballs, missed deadlines, unexpected setbacks, heated arguments, but you don't let them derail you. Instead, you focus on what's in your control, your response, your attitude, your next step. I remember a time when I was leading a project that went completely off the rails. A key team member quit, our budget got slashed, and the client was breathing down our necks. Everyone was freaking out, but I took a moment to step back, breathe, and map out a plan. It wasn't perfect, but it got us through. Later, a teammate told me, "Your calm kept us from falling apart." That's the power of staying steady. It doesn't just save you, it saves everyone around you. Your calm isn't just about keeping your cool. It's about seeing clearly when others can't. Pressure clouds most people's judgment. They react impulsively, let emotions take over. But you step back, think rationally, and act deliberately. That's why people turn to you in a crisis, whether it's a work emergency or a family drama. But let's be honest, your composure can feel intimidating to those who struggle to keep it together. They might wonder how you stay so calm, or even resent you for it, as if your strength highlights their weakness. That's not your fault. It's a sign of your impact. Stoicism teaches us to focus on our own actions, not others' reactions. You can't control their feelings, but you can control how you show up. So how do you apply this in your life today? The next time you're in a high-pressure situation, maybe a tight deadline, a heated argument, or even a personal setback, practice the Stoic pause. Take 3 deep breaths, ask yourself, what's in my control right now? And focus only on that. A practical step. This week, identify one stressful moment and write down how you handled it. Did you stay calm? Did it help? If you're a student, this might mean staying focused during a chaotic group project. If you're a parent, it could be keeping your cool when your kid has a meltdown. Your calm isn't just a strength, it's a gift to everyone around you. As we move forward, let's explore the next sign, your ability to set boundaries with confidence and respect. Picture this. A friend asks you to help with a project, but you're already stretched thin. Work, family, your own goals pulling you in every direction. Most people would say yes, not because they want to, but because they're afraid of letting someone down. But you pause, weigh your priorities and say, I'd love to help, but I can't take this on right now. Let me know how else I can support you. Your tone is kind but firm, and you walk away without guilt. This is the 11th sign of a strong personality. You set boundaries with confidence and respect. You know your limits, and you honor them, not out of selfishness, but out of self-respect. Setting boundaries isn't about pushing people away, it's about protecting your energy so you can show up fully for what matters most. Seneca said, "We should not live as if we're destined to live forever." You've internalized that wisdom. You know your time is finite, and you choose to spend it on what aligns with your values. Maybe it's saying no to a last-minute work request because you promised your kids a movie night, or declining a social event because you need time to recharge. These choices aren't easy. They often come with pushback or disappointment from others. But you understand that saying yes to everything means saying no to yourself. I'll never forget a moment when I had to set a boundary that felt uncomfortable. A colleague kept asking me to take on extra tasks, framing them as quick favors that always turned into hours of work. At first I went along, not wanting to seem uncooperative, but it started draining me, pulling me away from my own priorities. So I had a conversation. I'm happy to collaborate, but I need to focus on my core responsibilities. Let's find another way to handle this. It wasn't easy, my colleague was taken aback, but it changed the dynamic. They respected me more, and I reclaimed my time. That's the power of boundaries. They don't just protect you, they teach others how to treat you. Your ability to set boundaries can be intimidating because it challenges the status quo. People are used to those who bend, who say yes to keep the peace. When you say no, you force them to confront their own lack of boundaries. A friend might feel slighted when you decline their invite. A boss might push back when you prioritize your workload. That's okay. your job isn't to make everyone happy. It's to live with integrity. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what's in our control, and boundaries are a way of taking control of your time, energy, and peace. Here's how to apply this today. Identify one area of your life where you're overextending yourself. Maybe it's taking on too many tasks at work or saying yes to every social plan. This week, practice saying no once, kindly but firmly. Write down how it feels and what happens next. Did it free up time for something meaningful? Did others respect your choice? If you're a student, this might mean turning down a group hangout to focus on studying. If you're a professional, it could be delegating a task instead of doing it yourself. Boundaries aren't walls. They're gates that let you choose who and what gets your energy. Let's move to our final sign, your ability to live authentically, a trait that ties all these strengths together into a life of purpose. Let's bring it all together with the final sign of a strong personality. You live authentically. Every trait we've explored, your reason, your independence, your moral code, your comfort in solitude, your courage in conversations, your presence, your words, your decisiveness, your confidence, your calm, your boundaries, all point to one truth. You are unapologetically yourself. In a world that pressures us to conform, to perform, to fit in, you've chosen a different path. You live by your values, not someone else's script. You don't chase trends or approval. You chase a life that feels true. And that authenticity is the ultimate mark of a strong personality. Living authentically means showing up as yourself, flaws and all, and trusting that it's enough. It's choosing a career that lights you up, even if it doesn't impress others. It's speaking your truth, even when it's unpopular. It's saying no to what doesn't serve you and yes to what does. Think about someone you admire, maybe a mentor, a friend, or even a historical figure. What makes them stand out? It's not their wealth or status. It's their refusal to be anything other than themselves. I think of a teacher I had in high school, Ms. Carter, who never tried to be the cool teacher. She was quirky, passionate about history, and fiercely honest. When she spoke, we listened, not because she demanded it, but because she was so genuinely herself. Her authenticity gave us permission to be ourselves too. Marcus Aurelius said, "To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment." That's your strength. You've chosen to be yourself, even when it's hard. Maybe you've turned down opportunities that didn't align with your values, or walked away from relationships that asked you to compromise who you are. Those choices aren't easy. They often come with doubt, loneliness, or criticism. But they also bring something far greater, peace. The peace of knowing you're living a life that's yours, not a shadow of someone else's expectations. But authenticity isn't just about you. It's about the impact you have on others. When you live true to yourself, you give those around you permission to do the same. Your friend who's afraid to pursue their art, they see you chasing your passion and take a step toward their own. Your coworker who's scared to speak up, they watch you own your truth and find their voice. Your authenticity is a gift, a light that shows others what's possible. But it can also be intimidating. People who are still searching for their own truth might feel exposed in your presence, as if your clarity highlights their uncertainty. That's not your burden to carry. Your job is to keep shining, to keep being you. So how do you live this out today? Take a moment to define what authenticity means to you. What's one thing you do or want to do that feels undeniably you? Maybe it's wearing what makes you feel confident, even if it's not in style. Maybe it's speaking up about a cause you care about, even if it's controversial. This week, commit to one authentic act. Write it down. Today, I'll be myself by, and fill in the blank. Then do it. Reflect on how it feels. Does it bring you peace? Does it inspire someone else? If you're a parent, this might mean sharing a vulnerable story with your kids to show them it's okay to be human. If you're a professional, it could be pitching an idea that's true to your vision, not just what's expected. Your authenticity is your legacy. It's the mark you leave on the world, the story that others will remember when they think of you. Live it boldly, and you'll not only find peace, you'll help others find theirs. We've just walked through 12 signs of a strong personality, each one a thread in the tapestry of who you are, from prioritizing reason over conformity to living authentically in a world that pulls you in every direction. These traits mark you as someone extraordinary. You're not just strong, you're unshakable. You're not just confident, you're a beacon for others. But strength isn't about being perfect or universally loved. It's about knowing yourself so deeply that you can stand firm, even when the world pushes back. It's about using your power to uplift, to inspire, to create a life that's true to you. Stoicism teaches us that the only life worth living is one rooted in virtue, wisdom, and courage. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus didn't just write philosophy, they lived it through wars, exile, and personal loss. Their wisdom isn't a dusty relic. It's a guide for navigating the chaos of modern life. Whether you're facing a tough decision at work, a strained relationship, or just the daily grind of trying to be your best self, these principles are your anchor. They remind you that your strength isn't a burden, it's a gift to yourself and a gift to the world. So here's my challenge to you. Take one of these signs and make it your focus this week. Maybe it's speaking up with reason in a meeting, saying no to something that doesn't serve you, or simply taking an hour to sit in solitude and reconnect with yourself. Whatever it is, do it with intention. Write it down, act on it, and reflect on what changes. You're not just building a stronger personality, you're building a stronger life. In today's world, where social media bombards us with comparison and workplaces demand constant hustle, your strong personality is more valuable than ever. Use it to cut through the noise. When you're scrolling through Instagram and feel the pull to measure your life against someone else's highlight reel, pause and ask, am I living true to my values? When you're overwhelmed by deadlines or expectations, take a stoic breath and focus on what's in your control. Your strength lies in your ability to stay grounded, to choose clarity over chaos, to live authentically in a world that's always trying to pull you off course. You don't need to be louder or flashier, you just need to be you. That's enough. If this journey through the 12 signs of a strong personality resonated with you, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me, which sign hit home the most? Maybe it's your decisiveness, your calm under pressure, or your unapologetic authenticity. Share your story. Your words might inspire someone else watching this. And if you want to keep diving into stoicism and self-improvement with us, hit that subscribe button and tap the bell so you never miss a video from ZENLIGHT 8. We're here to help you live with purpose, one step at a time. Let's keep growing together. Comment unshakable and free if you're ready to embrace your strength. And I'll see you in the next video.